the coaching by both Coach Griffin and Dylan in youth football, but that had just ended. It was Dylan's season had just ended, and when Griffin passed away, and so then, as I said, my mom, she had prior to Griffin passing away, though, it was a Mother's Day, actually the day after Mother's Day that very year, she found out she had stage 4 uterine cancer. And so she survived just a lethal surgery where they removed a lot. And so she somehow survived that, only to 8 months later pass away. And so there was kind of a rough time there where for me it felt like everybody was going, nobody was coming.
Yeah.
And so I that led me to a serious bout of depression, to the point where in August of 2015 I actually shot myself and in the head, underneath the chin, and with the intention of not being here. And so as I look back now, everything I didn't have to live for, I now have to live for. And so it was just a period of time where life was tough, and it was, once you get down, what my experience is, once I got down that low, it didn't feel like it was ever going to end, and unless I ended it.
Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, Steven Zim Zimmerman, Vinny Parisi, and Chris Gonzalez. We're bringing you the White Sox coverage you need from the perspective of true Southsiders. Grab your Kaminsky dog with an ice cold beer and meet us in section 155. Everyone get on your feet for your 2021 South Burbs Hitmen.
That ball hit deep. Way back. You can put it on the board. Yes. Jimenez in the air. Left field. He's your hero tonight. Thanks, Cubs. Over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws. Out! And the White Sox have won the World Series. Alexei! Yes! 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 History! A perfect game by Mark Burley, and what an unbelievable play by 21.
First pitch starts now.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen Show. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mandel. I'm joined by my White Sox brother-in-arms, Vinny Parisi and Chris Gonzalez. Our good friend Steven Zim Zimmerman's on a plane back from Chicago heading to Colorado, so he'll be back with us in a couple weeks. But for tonight, I've got Vinny and Chris, and we have a special guest we're going to bring on in just a minute that's going to hang out with us all night for the most part. But Vinny, well, how you doing, my friend? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, boys. It was a good weekend. Outside of one little 3-hour span wasn't as fun, but for the most part, it was a great weekend. And I always love because this happened twice so far this season now. They capped off a series win with the Cubs by Jimenez dominating at the plate and Cease dominating on the mound. 2 players they gave to us for free, and then the pot was sweetened just a little bit extra this morning when we saw that the Angels had Jose Quintana on waivers and he was claimed by the Giants. So just all that after the way this weekend went down was hilarious. It was a good weekend. I'm having a good Monday.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm excited to get another week of White Sox baseball under our belt. Chris Gonzalez, how about you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. And I look at the calendar and I realize that there is 30 games left for these White Sox, and the grind starts now. They're going to get a couple days of rest this week, and then the grind really does start for this postseason run here. And I know Tony's going to treat it as so with the championships that he's had, and I think he's got 12 division championships under his belt. We know the boys are going to get a division championship. Now it starts for if they can win the pennant for the AL at the very least.
Yeah, man, it starts now. It's crunch time for these boys. There's no doubt about it. And it starts now. And speaking of starting now, we are going to bring on our special guest. He's going to hang out with us all night. You know him from the Bulls 101 podcast here on the Barroom Network. Coach Larro Golden. Larro is also a White Sox fan like all of us. He loves talking about another kind of ball. That's baseball. Larro, how you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing really well, man. I can't complain. I'm happy to be on the show with you guys, man. I watch you guys a lot, so it's really cool to finally be on here and just follow you guys' lead and talk some ball that I love to watch and talk about as well. So other than basketball, so yeah.
Hey man, we're happy to have you, and we're gonna run the gamut tonight. We're gonna talk a little bit of everything, but we'll get the intro talking points out of the way. We had a split with the Jays. We're inconsistent in that series, but the guys did what they had to do, and then we took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, 5 out of 6 on the season series. So except for that one stinker that I happened to go to on Saturday, a 7-0 loss or whatever it ended up being. I think it was 7-0 was the final that day, but we're not going to talk about that until you guys grill me about it later. But I'll let that happen on its own naturally without me trying to provoke you guys. But let's backtrack for a little bit and talk about the Jays series. Vinny, we'll toss it to you first. What did you take away from how this team looked against the Blue Jays, who are, arguably you can put it on the list as one of the better teams in the AL?
Yeah, the Blue Jays are a lot better than their record shows, and their record's not terrible. So the fact that they have that lineup, and it's missing like a key piece in Springer, but when you got guys like Bo Bichette and Semien and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who would probably win an MVP if it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani being a freak, there's just so many great hitters in that lineup. The White Sox pitching shut them down for the most part. They couldn't get the bats going against certain pitchers in a couple games over there in Toronto. So they ended up splitting the series instead of winning it. But the 2 games they won. And the 2 games they lost were like pretty close. So I came out of it thinking, okay, if they can get their offense together with Grandal and Robert, the pitching's good enough, clearly. Because if you shut down a lineup like that, you know it's going well, and there aren't going to be many better lineups for the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. That's the point I was going to make next. Larro, when I start looking at this team competing against the AL East, I see a lot of close games. All of the games with the Yankees felt close. All the games except for the one blowout in Boston felt close. I think it kind of shows us, like, everyone's like, "Oh, you guys are horrible against teams above 500 or above 500." It's like, think about it. Every game has been close with this team, and they've been in everything. How does that make you feel about this team? Because I feel like they could compete with anybody.
Well, here's the deal. The way I think about it is like, yeah, you can say we aren't good against 500 teams, but I mean, we didn't have Eloy for a bit. We didn't have Louis Robert for a bit. So, I mean, it's tough for me to even fall for that bit that's going around because this team hasn't been fully healthy for a bit. You know what I mean? We're just now starting to see this team kind of go take another step in terms of health and being having that lineup all together. And I think I think the Cubs series was, and even the Jays series as well. Like you saw that this team is starting to gel a bit in terms of their offense and consistent at bats and things like that. So I'm just happy to see Robert back, and I think this team, as this season continues to get closer to the playoffs, you'll start to see some, I guess the people that's been saying that this team isn't good against 500 teams, I think that will kind of go away soon because they do compete, So I'm just ready to see. We'll get to it later. We'll touch on it later, but in terms of the bullpen, but I'm just I'm more worried about that part than anything else, I guess, if you had to ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of things to arguably worry about right now, but they've got a lot of time to work it out. Like as Gonzo mentioned, there's 30 games left in the season, and they're finally starting to gel. Everyone's healthy for the first time all season long. You've seen them put up the most runs, 17, and they put up another 13. So these bats are awakened, and they're going to scare a lot of teams. Gonzo, speaking of scaring teams, we took 5 out of 6 from the Cubs this year, as we should, given the state of their team. I caught a stinker in that series, but what were your takeaways, Gonzo, for the Cubs Sox series, all 6 games, and especially this weekend?
You said 6 games for this past week, or just in that series in general?
No, I was going to say like this weekend, 3 games, but in general, the whole 6, the whole series all year. I mean, we took 5 out of 6.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I was most looking forward to was a healthy lineup going against this team. But I mean, granted, the Cubs are where they're at this point in the season. You're just really looking for really 2 things. One, the offense, making sure that they're getting consistent at-bats, driving runners in scoring position, and really plate discipline at the plate and consistency with their plate discipline. And then on the other side with pitching, you're looking for quality starts, your veterans eating up innings, and just having really great performances. And for as great of a series as that was, on the pitching side of it, those first 2 games worried me. Keuchel, you would think this would be a good start versus this Cubs team to really harp on your location and your control of your pitches, and he just continues to struggle. That's what does really keeps me unhappy with him. And
well, there's a little we'll spoil it a little bit later, Gonzo, but we'll do a little teaser. We are going to talk about Keuchel, and
yes.
This to say it's been bad, but I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, and we will get with it with him, so I'll say that for later. But then you go to game 2, Lance Lynn. I know Zim had a tweet that that didn't age real well, but
I was there with him, okay? He was warming up in the bullpen. He looked fired up. The whole stadium was going nuts. He looked like a man ready to dominate, and he kind of went out and pooped down his leg. But it happens from time to time to everybody. Even guys that win the Cy Young have one bad start.
Right, but even this goes from the Field of Dreams, kind of similar, where he gives up more than 3 runs, and everyone looks at it as a bad stat line. But similar to Field of Dreams in this game with the Cubs and his performance, there's only a couple spots that he missed, and when he did miss, it ended up out of the ballpark. 7 runs being put on the board, most of those come from 2 or 3 hits, basically. So, as far as earned runs given up, and it's tough, but I feel like maybe he was going with the feel of the emotions with his performance. But I would only imagine that with the consistency that he's had all year to be really, I consider him our ace. I think he's just going to keep grinding and eating up innings down the stretch here, and he's just going to keep doing his thing and focusing more on, his research that he's done versus the hitters, and really hone down, what he has to do to get himself ready for the postseason. And I don't expect anything less from him. And then we get down to that 3rd game with Cease on the mound, and I tweeted after the game, I feel very comfortable if we throw him out for game 3 of the postseason, just because I consider the throw. I want our best arms to be thrown game for game.
His stuff has just been nasty. I mean, you can't put. There's no way around it. He's just looked absolutely filthy out there.
Now I'm going to admit, Giolito, he's been absolutely fantastic. But with my eyes, when I'm focusing on the actual stuff of the pitcher, I just like Cease's stuff right now more than him. That's the only reason why I would put Cease in front of him right now. But for him just to keep stepping up, I think he only gave up that solo shot, right, to Frank, and that was the only run he gave up, and he had 10 or 11 strikeouts and 6 innings, was it? And guy's just filthy. And he took the series for us, and he got a really crucial win to begin the series in Toronto last week. So he had 2 key wins there. Overall, you like to see what you saw from that series, and especially with the offense they came out. Maybe not for game 2, but sometimes you have those.
Definitely not for game 2.
Sometimes you have those trends where you have a huge game and you followed up with a dud, and then you just pick it right back up. I mean, every day is a new day, and that's the beautiful game of baseball. You just, after one bad performance, all the players literally just take it and throw it in the garbage and just start a new game, a new day. So
it is. Each day is a new. Each day is a new day. Wow, that's some really thought-provoking stuff coming from me tonight, gentlemen. So, Gonzo, I'll let you finish your thought. I'm gonna stop talking like Confucius.
No, overall, it's a great series to win, followed up by the series you tied with Toronto, and you just continue it to go to the next 2 series here versus Pittsburgh and KC. So, I like where these boys are headed off to here.
I like it too, and Larro, we always, after we do our opening points, we always go to talk about good old trusty Tony La Russa, and we do a little segment where we like to talk about and critique him every week. Do you remember what that's called, Larro?
La Russa's Locker.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about our buddy Tony La Russa, and it's that time of the show. But before we even get to on the field stuff, can we talk about Tony's hair? Has anyone else noticed Tony can't decide, first off, what color his hair wants to be? And does he know that the White Sox have a barber? Because it's pretty out of hand. He looks like he just woke up half the time in the dugout. Am I the only one that thinks Tony needs a barber and some Just for Men gel?
As someone who comes from a family with pattern baldness, I haven't shown it yet. As you can see, my hairline's perfectly fine. And I'm in my late 20s, so I haven't started receding yet. But I feel in no position, based on my family history, to be making fun of a guy who's 76 years old hanging on to his hair like that. Because if I have my hair like that at 76 years old and someone tries to tell me what to do with it when I earned that 76-year-old hair, I'm going to tell them to bad word off.
Oh, I'm not saying you can't have your hair. Like, look, I still got some hair here on the sides, but I know, but don't you? He looks like he put his finger in a socket, right?
Oh man!
Oh my god! Now I feel.
Am I wrong?
Now I feel bad critiquing his managerial moves the rest of the show.
Well, I'm just making the rest of it feel better for everybody, right?
I'm just happy he has hair at his age. Man.
You know what? I agree with Joe. Screw your hair, Tony. Get a damn haircut.
Here's Ron Rupp now in the chat says, I can't criticize anyone's hair.
It's funny.
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, sorry, the hair thing's been just driving me nuts the last couple of weeks.
Now I'm going to be looking for it for sure.
Oh, you got to look at him in the 8th inning when they show him in the dugout.
Stressful situation too. Like Kimbrel just gave up a hit, but there's 2 outs. Like, all right, we need one more, boys. that hair hits different.
Yeah, and Travis reminds us September is the month that they did hire TLR. So hopefully there's none of those things coming up. No DUIs or anything. We'll leave that at the door. But let's get to the actual meat and potatoes here of the La Russa's locker session. And the first thing I got to talk about is the bullpen lately. I feel like he's been mismanaging it. Kimbrel seems to be way better in the ninth statistically. I think Vinny put an article out there about this as well. And he keeps throwing him in the eighth. And something about it, I think Kimbrel does not like it. So Vinny, I know you wrote about that. Give us a little background about, what Tony's doing here and how we can fix it.
Yeah, so more than Liam Hendricks, Craig Kimbrel, it's proven to me now. So I kind of like sat back in the debate between Hendricks or Kimbrel in the ninth, because to me there's no right or wrong answer. At least there wasn't earlier. So I kind of sat back, let the people who want to argue about it. You know who I'm talking about. Now to me, what I've seen with the White Sox for Kimbrel. Now I watch the Cubs a fair amount, but not nearly as much as the White Sox. Probably about half as much time. And what I've seen now with the White Sox is that Craig Kimbrel is a closer. Not only is he not a ninth inning guy, like he's not even just a ninth inning guy. He's a closer. So unless it's a save situation, I basically don't want to see him because he's given up exactly one run in the ninth inning this season, and it came in a game they were blowing him out. So it wasn't a save situation. So for me, all the statistics from he didn't give up a single run. He didn't come to the White Sox with a 0 ERA. And so even with the Cubs, he did not give up a single run in the ninth. And he gave up one in the ninth a couple days ago when they were winning by 7, when he probably shouldn't have been in the first place. So whether that's an excuse or not, I think my critique of Tony is you have it right in front of you. Don't let this turn into Cody Parkey, where we see it months and months in advance, the issue, and then in the playoffs is when it becomes your doom. Craig Kimbrel is a closer who should be in for saves. Liam can do both. Yeah. We've seen Liam get 9 or 6 out saves. We've seen Liam get 5 out saves, 4 out saves.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen him come in up 1. And now, granted, he hasn't been perfect. The home run was an issue for Liam early in the season. That seemed to come down a little bit. I appreciated the 40-pitch save. I want to say it was against Toronto.
Yeah.
They needed that. They needed that. And so he was unavailable the next 2 days, which is fine because we have Kimbrel. If there's no Kimbrel, then maybe Tony doesn't do that. That's why I was never the one side versus the other, because you have both. But if you're winning by 7, use Ruiz or something. I don't want to see Kimbrel unless it's up by 3 or less. So that's my stance on Tony. That's my stance on Tony La Russa's bullpen management. He's figuring stuff out now.
Yeah, well, that's funny you mentioned that about Ruiz, because I was sitting next to Zim at the game on Saturday. And, I'm like, they're bringing in Ruiz. Ruiz always goes in when we're getting absolutely manhandled and Tony expects to lose. He goes, oh, no, man, I want to see him put in Tapera or somebody. And I'm like, no, it's Ruiz coming out. And then 10 seconds later, Ruiz comes jogging up the bullpen. And
shout out to Reynaldo Lopez, too, because he was kind of becoming that guy like Ruiz, too. And so what does he do? He comes in and throws 5 shutty, 1-hit baseball. Or it might even be no-hit baseball. And the White Sox bats came back in the meantime while he was doing that. Shout out to that guy for being just like Ruiz, but it actually leaning to a win.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. But we got a comment here from Joe.
Oh,
Tony La Russa looks like he has a scarecrow hair and a Sox cap. Good Lord.
My gosh.
I mean, like I said, 76. With the way I eat chicken wings, if I make it to 76, man, I'll be thanking my lucky stars.
Sorry, that comment was too good not to feature. I love that one. But yeah, we talked about the bullpen briefly. I don't want to stay on it too long because I feel like we could probably do the whole show just talking about the bullpen. But I do want to talk about that flat effort versus the Cubs on Saturday. I was sitting in the stands, of course. So was our co-host Steven Zimmerman. He flew in from Colorado for that one. And luckily, he saw Sunday's game too. But all year, I've been waiting to see Lance Lynn pitch. It's been on my list. I was like, oh my God, I'm finally getting to see Lance Lynn. Whatever. He had a bad day. The offense sure didn't show up either.
Yeah.
So they came out flat. And I think I put that on Tony because these guys did not look prepared at all on Saturday. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Chris Gonzalez what are your thoughts on that flat performance? And does it fall on Tony?
Tough to say. I wouldn't say it's ultimately it comes down to the player's performance. You just see at this point within the past 3 weeks, you see Tony mixing and matching players to give these offensive players rest days that are needed as we go down the stretch. And same thing for our bullpen arms. He's mixing and matching with the assets that he has to see what roles they're going to have here within the next month. Sometimes you have games, like I said, it's a 162 game season. It's a long season. You're going to have these moments where you're going to look like that. And what you're really looking for is that bounce back. And guys not just going to a trend and playing with their emotions and just, playing for the emotions. It's, these guys you just look for that bounce back and not to continue a negative trend. And that's what I've seen with this team all season. But yeah, to go off of what we were saying with the bullpen, kind of amounts to what I was just saying is I think after this week, you're going to see Tony start to really put a standard down for where people are going to be at for our expectations for the lineup going into the postseason. I don't think you're going to see any like Ruiz situations in a leverage situation, because I would imagine at this point, within the past 3 weeks of him mixing and matching things, that he's got it figured out on what he knows he can get out of these players in moments that he knows he can get them, put his trust into them. Similar to the closer. Liam's the only one from the beginning that showed him that he's his closer. He's got the most saves in the AL, put him in so many different situations, and Liam, for the most part, has always came through. I don't know what Liam has to do for people to be like, to erase that negativity against him. Kind of like Mankata. I don't know what Liam has to prove. He gave up one bad outing, and then the next week he goes for 2 innings and just a perfect week. Follows that up with that bases loaded 5-out situation for the close versus one of the hottest lineups in the AL. I don't know what he has to do for people to be like, all right, we traded one of the best relief arms in the game to go along with him. Like, with that setup that we have 6 through 9 right now, like, I don't care. I don't think the issue should be about a closer. It should be look at what bullpen we have right now for what we want to get to, and there's a championship. So at this moment, really upcoming here, you're going to have a series versus the A's in Boston coming up, and really that's about it. And it's a pretty easy going schedule. You're going to get to see, we'll see where Boston's at that time, because the East is going to go through their little breakdown of a 4-seeded race. So we'll see where Boston's headed. And then the A's, they're battling for a wild card. So we'll see where they're at in that wild card race too. That'll be interesting, but I'm really confident with these White Sox, and I'm feeling good about a 2-seed right now, if I'm really being honest with you. And
I could see that.
We know for sure a division. I mean, I think that's nothing at this point. It's a given, yeah. So
yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, Gonzo. But the one hot topic here that I always put under Tony La Russa, I've been bagging on Dallas Keuchel what feels like to be 2 months, maybe longer now. This guy's been brutal, and there's no way to dance around it. Tony's got to know it. I gotta pan on him for his handling of it this year, because I know he didn't have a great relationship to start the year with him. I know they had some words when he got pulled a little earlier in the season. But with the way he's pitching, should Tony, put him in the pen and bring Lopez into the rotation as like a, that stopgap option? Larro, I'm curious your thoughts on that.
For me, I kind of feel like we got the division, right? The division's in hand. And use this time. I guess I don't blame Tony for like resting these guys and keeping their legs going and giving them some rest. I think when you have the division locked up, you have to prepare for, the playoffs. And I kind of feel like Keuchel give him this time to see if he can figure his stuff out with his pitching. And I think Ronaldo, just keep him in the slot he's at, because I think he has found his comfort zone. I think when he comes out of the bullpen, I feel like he is just really confident in his pitching, and you can see it on the mound right now. Like his control is nice. He's really letting it go. And even if you what year was that when he was with the Nationals? He was coming out of the bullpen with the Nationals, right? If I remember right, in the playoffs that year. But it just seems like he's very confident in that role. I wouldn't touch that. I wouldn't mess with that, because you want him to go into the playoffs or have a shot at being in the bullpen in the playoffs doing that. And if he continues to be, if he continues to do the stuff that he's doing, I kind of disagree with that. I kind of feel like if he's going to pitch like that, I mean, you kind of have to, I don't know, man. I mean, he's pitching really well. Oh, he meant Keuchel. Okay, I thought he was talking about Lopez, but
Reynolds,
yeah. With Keuchel, I kind of, I'm a big fan of Keuchel, man, and I want to see him get things back going, man. So I would use this time to kind of, just see if he can get things going. He understands what he needs to get back on what pitch he needs to figure out and get that feeling back in it to make him back to what he was, and really good location pitcher, a guy that gets a lot of ground balls and keeping that ball out of the air. I just feel like he has to find that rhythm and get that feeling back in that pitch. And if he can be a weapon, man. And honestly, if he can't do this, I don't want him in the bullpen, so I kind of rather have Lopez take that spot. But I know we were talking about, the bullpen and some of the other things that Tony did, but I have to kind of throw some love towards his way as well, is because I love that he decided to move Robert up in the lineup, because I felt like
I love it.
He earned that. I think the dude wasn't doing anything but raking, and I think Tony rewarded him. And as fans and people that love watching this team, I think we were rewarded as well. The dude just is playing some great baseball right now. And obviously he's one of those guys on this team that you love. You're not going to miss his at bat. Because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we're talking about a guy that hit a home run falling down in the batter's box, So I mean, you got to love that about him, man. And I'm not going to get started on Yo-Yo, because that's my boy. And if you don't appreciate what he is as a baseball player, then I can't help you, man. That's all I got to say right there.
Hey, man. I love the analysis there, Larro. Thank you. And I know Gonzo's got something quick he wants to add.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, guys, we signed Keuchel to be in this position, really, to be the, ace that leads us to this point where he gave us the time to allow some of our younger arms to develop and progress. And I mean, it's at that point where, you would hope he's got some more quality starts in there during this stretch here. But at this point, from how I'm seeing it, I would just let him ride it out here in the rotation, let him gain whatever confidence he can going into the postseason, because he knows what's needed of him. And when that time comes, I really think you're going to see Lopez, four-man rotation of Len, Rodon, Cease, Giolito, Lopez, Keuchel into the bullpen. Because really, when it comes to the postseason, it's a team effort, and Keuchel's going to understand that. And some of the big innings will be coming later in the game than early on. So when his name is called, he knows that, he just has to bring it and get outs for when that time comes. And like what we saw with Burley during the World Series, coming in at key moments.
No chugging beers though for Dallas this time.
Or Lance Lynn, but when you got Lopez already feeling confident on the bullpen, I wouldn't change that right now. And with Keuchel, I think when the time comes, it could be a switch with him. So he's been there before. It's one of the reasons why we signed him, for that experience, for his championship in Houston. So at this point, that's how I really see it.
Hey, Laura.
Gotcha.
Yo.
Would you consider his season so far a dud?
Keuchel?
Yeah.
I don't. I think he was pitching well towards the beginning of the year, so I can't call it a full dud. I don't know if I could use that word. I just think people can forget, like even me, like myself, sometimes you can forget how long this season is in baseball, and you can forget that this game is there's a lot of failure in this game, you know, and pitchers especially, like you're throwing your best, well, what you hope on that day is your best stuff, and some days you're gonna get rocked, some days you're gonna be shut, you're gonna be a complete game type guy, and you know, I think it's really easy to forget, and I think guys like yourselves that love this game, that watch this game in detail and really watch it, understand that. So you kind of see it at a different angle. But people that, you know, watch it every now and then, and maybe they turn on the TV and they see Keuchel getting rocked and, Keuchel sucks, you know, and it's like, well, let's hold down. This is a veteran. Dude has won a World Series before. There's a lot of experience there that this team needs. And no, so I don't think you would call it dud. I just think the dude is just going through a tough time right now. He's going through a tough time.
All right. So Dallas Keuchel, only part-time dud. Kind of like the guys we're about to talk about in Adam Dud of the Week.
You suck.
You suck.
Stupid. Lousy. No excuse.
What a dud. What a total dud.
Yeah, so we talk about the guys that pooped the bed this week in the Adam Dud of the Week. And there's a couple of nominees. You know, we'll go around the horn here, but Gonzo brought up our buddy Eloy Jimenez, not for his performance with the bat, but for what he's been doing with his glove. So Gonzo, talk a little bit about your Adam Dud of the Week.
My Adam Dud of the Week actually isn't Eloy.
Okay, I totally screwed that one up. Cool.
I'll talk about Eloy for you.
You can talk about Eloy real quick for me.
All right, how about that?
If you make fun of Eloy Jimenez's defense, I don't want to talk to you. Because his bat is so consequential that if he makes an Adam Dud of the Week with his glove once or twice, whatever, who cares? Don't get hurt, Eloy. I don't want to see you slide. That was stupid. You scared the crap out of me when you didn't get up right away. Luis is out there. He's better than you. You stay in your little circle. If it drops when a better left fielder might have caught it, who cares? You're going to hit a 3-run homer later in the game. It's fine. Leave me alone with this defense, Eloy. So I'll take him as my dud of the week on the defensive side of the ball. He's so good with his bat. He's hitting like 290 with 30-something RBIs already. Like, I don't want to hear it. Eloy, you're fine. Don't get hurt in the outfield, please.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead.
As a DH, too. I don't want to hear it anymore. He stinks as a DH. Horrible. 0 for 4
It's
basically
true.
every time.
It is true. And you can't go.
Look at the weekend series against the Cubs.
Yeah.
0 for 4 on Saturday. What did he do on Friday? He definitely had a hit. Every player had a hit on Friday. Every player except Leary had a hit on Sunday too. 3-run homer on Sunday. Yeah, I need him in left field. Don't hurt yourself, please.
I like it, man. I love it. Yeah, the glove wasn't there, but everything else was. I'm going to talk about a guy who's been great all year. We've been touting him as the American League Rookie of the Year. My dud of the week is going to go to Andrew Vaughn. 2 for 17, batting 118 with 1 ribby and 3 runs scored this week. And considering all the runs that this team put on the board and the fact that he didn't have a whole lot to do with them, he had some opportunities. He had plenty of opportunities over the last week, and he just didn't get it done. And I love Andrew Vaughn. He's a guy that I do think can still win the Rookie of the Year. He's going to be the first baseman of the future for this team. The future is very bright. But this week, you know, Vaughn's stick wasn't there. I look for him to bounce back big time, and it doesn't get much better than going up against the Pirates and then the Kansas City Royals for that. So I think Andrew Vaughn will correct it this week. But my Adam Dud of the week goes to Andrew Vaughn. I'm going to go ahead and we'll break it up a little bit. Let's see if Larro has a Adam Dud of the week.
Yeah, so it hurts my heart to go with this guy because I'm a huge fan of him, and obviously I don't expect this to continue to go on. But in 3 games this week, Michael Kopeck, man, I just have gotten to the point where Kopeck, when he comes in before this week, but when he comes in, that we're going to get a good outing. He's going to throw his best stuff. He's going to throw stuff that guys most of the time can't touch.
It's not like a guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, what do you have? A 19 ERA, 2.1 innings pitched, 7 hits, 7 runs given up, 7 earned. So that's my Adam Dudd. I mean, I need for him to get back on track. That this was a rough week for him because we need Kopeck to be that guy that we know he is. Get back in rhythm and getting, throwing those fireballs with that beautiful slider you have. And dude is just fun to watch. But this week he wasn't. So I have to, that's my guy this week.
Larro, have you noticed that all the time he gets himself into trouble, like over this week that you're talking about? Before that, it was dominant, like 2 point whatever ERA, but up until this week, his slider's been getting crushed. The fastball is almost as good as ever. Guys can't hit it.
Yeah,
because it's the velocity is like increasing as the season goes along, which is probably a product of innings and the management and all that. Yes, exactly, Joe. But the slider, I don't know if he's been tipping it.
Yeah.
Or, I think Zavala mentioned it. I think like he's tipping the slider and they're crushing it. And then they expect a fastball by the end of the inning. And anybody can hit a fastball if they know it's coming. But like Kopeck dances a little bit. Yeah. So it like changes the sight. I don't know. I just think Kopeck's been interesting this last week. And I agree with your take.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. And Joe as well. I think he might be tipping it because I mean, let's be honest, man. This dude is when he's tough to hit, man. And he has to be doing something, to be rocked that way this week. Yep. So I agree. I think that's what it might be.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's going to have a bad week from time to time, but Michael Kopeck's going to settle down. I think we all believe that. So we got 3 out of 4 Adam Dudds. Chris Gonzalez. I know it wasn't Eloy because I screwed that up earlier, but who is your Adam Dudd of the week?
It's a guy that we've already been talking about a lot. Dallas Keuchel. Yeah, I know he's going to turn it around here. I have a feeling he will. I was just really disappointed and start a little bit sooner. But to kind of get to, as I'm going to wrap it up here with Keuchel, to get what Vinny was asking Larro about, really it's not so much of a bum as his performance per se, but more so his mentality. Like earlier in the season, he was saying, I'm building a culture. Like I've been there before. It's like, great. That's the veteran. Now you come and say that. And then at the end of the season, when you're struggling, you're going to start blaming your other teammates around the field. Granted, maybe the media highlighted that quote and picked it apart a little bit and put on Twitter, but maybe he was getting at, maybe we have to focus on the specifics of the game as we head to the postseason. So I guess you can really go back and forth on that. But I think he's also the only pitcher. There's a crazy stat out there that he's the only pitcher versus winning teams on our roster that has the most wins. So without those wins, if you're a person that keeps track of the winning record stat, we'd be lower, and there would be even more negativity out there on the Twitter sphere. So altogether, I know he's gonna. Dallas Keuchel, I know this will soon be forgotten if what we hope for happens in October happens. So at this moment, I'm just going to be optimistic and hopefully that he gets his game back on the mound with his control and location.
Yeah, no, I think he will. I think we had a lot of good nominees this week for the Adam Dudd. We have yes, Gonzo.
Sebi Saval. There you go. That's my honorable mention.
Yeah. I like
honorable mention, for Savi as well. He had a rough week. He went, he went 1 for 11 with six strikeouts.
Yeah.
He had 1 RBI. He had 0 RBIs. Oh, all right. He did have 1 RBI and 1 run scored. So
let's be honest. Yeah. That's Sebi, though. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear it. That's Sebi. He had that week where he was hot. I was at the game where he had 3 bombs. I mean, that he was awesome in the Field of Dreams game. He can put together a good at-bat, which to me makes him a good backup catcher. He'll make the pitcher throw pitches. Even if he ultimately ends up either walking or striking out, he puts together a good at-bat consistently. And that's pretty much all I need from a 200 batting backup catcher at this point. So I think can't get too down on Sebi just because of him being what he is.
Yeah, and he's going to come around. But we also forgot to mention this. I mean, the Sox, they sent down Zac Collins. They finally, ended that experiment. I don't know if he'll be a call-up or not come September, but the final straw was drawn with him, Collins. We kind of saw the writing on the wall for a while, guys, because he wasn't getting a lot of playing time, and when he was just looking completely lost at the plate. I think we all agree that was probably the best thing for this team to do. I don't know if anyone expected it to actually happen, but it looks like they're thinking big picture now, which is what they should be doing, given that the playoffs are about 30 days away.
And also thinking about bigger picture here, this is probably what Hahn didn't do at the deadline, and was to get a backup catcher that could be relied on in the postseason. And Junior brought that up, and it was a great point, because I did not even really think about that. Because if Hahn was really looking bigger picture, with the scouting department too, he would have realized, Collins is not where we really want him to be at. We can move him for more assets and really make a transition to get a player like, I think Junior brought up Alfafaro from Miami, or Sandy Leon, I think he also mentioned too. Either or, take either or, really, because with Grandal and either of those backups, I feel like we'd be in a better position than we are right now. And I know, like, on Chuck's Garfin, he had a podcast this week, and it's part 2 with the fans, and they asked him, take whoever in the 05 team that you want to transition to this team at their age, and someone said AJ Przinsky. It's catcher, that'd be great. Also Tadahito Gucci for second base, with how Cesar Hernandez has been falling off the cliff lately. So there's some interesting takes there. So
I have a question for you guys. With Zac Collins, how did you guys feel about him behind the plate and in terms of his defensive abilities?
I was very underwhelmed. He couldn't throw a guy out at second. He had a lot of passed balls. Personally, I was very underwhelmed. Vinny has put a finger up. I'm assuming you feel similarly, Vinny?
Yeah, so Collins is supposed to be the better hitter, but Zavala is supposed to be the better defensive catcher. Well, Zavala was the better defensive catcher, and he's also been a better hitter. So I think that the choice was easy. I do think he's going to be called up tomorrow night, or I guess it would technically be Wednesday morning. But because he's probably a more reliable bat than someone, say, like Danny Mendick, who will probably be the other call-up. Yeah. But I don't know. I think they made the right decision, because if you want a backup catcher, I think the most important thing should be defense. If Yaz wants to be a DH late in the game, in a playoff game, and they switch him to DH and bring in Zavala down or up a run in the 8th or something to catch Craig Kimbrell or Liam Hendricks or something, I think that would be the smart decision. You're not really doing that with Collins. You probably just leave Grandal in there.
Yeah, that was the whole reason I asked you guys, because I feel like if you're Collins, right, and you're going through a rough stretch, I feel like if you want to stay in the big leagues, I feel like you have to be what Zavala is behind the plate, and you can see it. Like even the pitchers, you can see the confidence they have in him. They know they're gonna get the best from him. He's gonna, and I think he's a guy that you're gonna want on your playoff roster, like you said, Vinny. Like if we need to move Yaz to DH or whatever, you got a good defensive catcher there. Unless, like Gonzo said, that they go get another catcher. But I think Zavala really helped solidify his position by having those great showing those great flashes of defense behind there, and really, I just love when he's back there. I'm a weirdo, right? If I did play baseball, let me tell you a little something, right? I loved baseball my whole life, but I never could hit a baseball, right? But I tried out for the baseball team in high school, didn't work out, right? I didn't tell my friends though, because I didn't want to, I just want to be a black guy on the baseball team that was bad, So but I always wanted to play catcher, right? And I love looking at catchers that they just the confidence behind the plate, and when the pitchers can throw their dirty, their slider in the dirt, their whatever, and your catcher is going to take care of that ball and get in front of it. And I think that's what Zavala gives to pitchers. They have confidence that he's going to take care of business back there. So I think that helped him a ton.
Think about someone like Moncada. When he went through his nasty slump in mid-August, he was playing Gold Glove defense. So even the biggest Moncada haters on Twitter were like, he plays a premier defensive position. and he doesn't make an error. Like I have Boston on my TV right now. Devers has the second most home runs. He just made an error on the easiest ground ball to third base. Like the Moncada haters, no matter what, will always appreciate his defense, and he's always got a place in the lineup for that reason. And now that the hitting's back, obviously that's when we start talking about him in like a star.
Yeah.
But like it's the same thing with the catcher. If you provide good defense, there's a spot for you on the roster. Someone like Craig Kimbrell or Liam Hendricks has no issue burying a slider with a runner on third if Zavala's behind the plate.
Also with Collins, with his pitch selection, with his pitchers on the daily basis, like these pitchers, they don't know what they're going to have really until they're out on the mound and really feeling out what they really have that given game. And I mean, I just saw it with Cease on one of his only rough starts in the second half. He had Collins, and like he was just digging that slider away, and they just kept calling it. And I'm just like, why are you calling something that's not working today? Like, go to the other pitches that he's actually. I think the fastball was high that day, but at least it was near the zone. Like, it was just a struggle really to watch Collins call a game at times, and that's something you don't have to worry about with Sabi. But go ahead, Sam.
I was going to say only one catcher on the White Sox active roster has caught a no-hitter, and it's Zac Collins.
Well, he's not even on the White Sox roster anymore.
I guess in the organization, and it's Zac Collins because McCann went to the Mets. He caught Giolito's, and Collins caught Rodon's. So Yasmani, whenever he gets the day off, I guess there's a chance that there's a no-hitter for him.
Yeah, we'll see. That'd be something.
You know, when you throw a no-hitter, that means you keep the other team from putting it on the board, which is exactly what we're going to do in the You Put It on the Board segment.
Ball hit deep. Way back. He looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes!
Yeah, I think it's hard to talk about the Put It on the Board segment this week without highlighting the return of Yasmani Grandal. It's just ridiculous what he did this week, guys. I mean, if you look at his stats, he went 6 for 12 with 3 home runs, 6 hits total, 3 runs scored, 10 RBIs, and he even had a walk. He only struck out twice. I mean, this guy is unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hot as hot can be. I mean,
he's a weird hitter too. It's the strangest stat line I've ever seen. Like he's got like a 200 batting average, but his OPS is up near 900, which is like where the MVPs mostly are every year. And he's got more RBIs than hits. So this guy, it's different. It's like nothing I've ever seen on the White Sox before.
You know, just looking at him, man, you could just even watching some of the highlights down when he was with the Knights, man, like you could see that he was a man on a mission that really wanted to come back and show the team like this is why I'm here, and it's time for me to show you guys like, you know, hey, I'm back, and let's make this push for these playoffs, man. You could just see it, man. He wanted to put, you know, let the team know like, hey, I'm back, you know, and he really did.
I have a question for all three of you in regards to Grandal. Do we think that whatever he just had fixed was a lingering issue for longer than we initially thought? Because last year was good, but it wasn't as good as we probably would have expected in year one. I think a lot of people were calling for McCann. I personally wasn't, because even last year I think Grandal was better than McCann. But this year, the average was like 150 at one point. Now he was drawing lots of walks and high OPS and all. I get all that. Good hitter in the middle of the lineup. But what he did this weekend was unbelievable, even if it was the Cubs, because like Alec Mills can put on a good pitching performance. He hit an MLB team. Mm-hmm. Kyle Hendricks is awesome, and that's probably the guy he hit the hardest, the guy on Friday. But still, like maybe a new Grandal has been unlocked.
I think so. I mean, I noticed his footwork looked a little bit different to me. I mean, maybe that's something that he learned when he was doing his rehab. Because if you watch his swing, you know, this is just me casually observing, not as an expert or anything. But I feel like his footwork on his swing looks like a little different, and he doesn't do the full pivot. I guess that's probably partially because of the injury, but he's also probably been trained to do it that way. And whatever he's doing, he appears to be locked in. Hopefully it can stick around for a while, because I think we are going to see a new Yasmani, and you're going to stop. You remember the people before he got hurt, everyone's like, oh, he's a Yasmani's a bum. Send him, cut him. And now he's the guy that's going to, help this team reach their full potential. I mean, just look. I mean, they finally all healthy together. They put up 17 runs. They put up 13 runs. The American League is in trouble if these guys are finally allowed to get healthy. Vinny put out a great tweet, something like the American League allowed the White Sox to go whatever games over 500 without Eloy, Robert, and Grandal or something along those lines. And it's so true. The American League is in trouble.
Bad idea, AL. That was dumb of you. That's all I got to say.
Hey man,
it was.
Shout out to those guys that stepped up, for Robert and Eloy,
Brian
and
Goodwin.
Man, you as a fan, man, like you can't ask for any better effort. I mean, I can't even explain how crazy, how great that is, man. To see guys step up, they know what type of opportunity this is, and they really, they took care of business, man. Shout out those guys.
For sure. And there's another guy that's red hot. I'll let somebody else talk about him. It rhymes with Chabert. There's nothing I can think of that rhymes with that, but we'll go with it. Who wants to talk about Luis Robert? Because that guy was a man on fire this week as well. Gonzo's putting up the finger. He's doing the wag. Gonzo, take it away.
So, Robert, before he got injured, he was batting over 300, but that power really wasn't there. And when he came back, I was one of the first ones to mention, let's see where that power is, because we all know he's a 300 hitter. The only thing we worried about is, that bottom half waist down driving that power. So he comes back, and the man from August 9th, 16 games in, he's batting 382. 425 OBP and 676 slugging with five home runs, 13 ribbies, and 16 runs scored into steal. To go with the Gold Glove, that he showed, this series, which is something you'd love to see.
Well, yeah.
Everybody getting the rewards during the season that we didn't get to see during the pandemic, but. With his Gold Glove, watch out for this team. And you want to have your three best hitters in the lineup, your first three, and he's putting his bets. He was before putting his best stats up at the 2-hole. So I was kind of hoping that Tony would put him in the 2-hole. Now I'm hoping to see Moncada in the 3-hole. So it'd be Timmy, Robert, and Moncada, followed by Abreu and Jimenez. 30 runs scored this past weekend, and it's led off by our guys top middle of the order. This is dangerous.
This dude has not scratched his no. We're starting to see a little bit of what he can be, and I remember before he came up, I remember Eloy, he's the next Mike Trout, and Michael Kopeck even saying the same things, and as a guy that tries to withhold, excitement and wait to see it, I mean, the dude has the speed. He has the power. He can hit to all fields. He's a hitter. You know what I mean? And I can't even. Like I said, I'm not gonna miss any at bat. If I have to go get a beer or make a sandwich, it won't be during his at bat. So and it's been fun, man. I can't wait, man. I can't even wait to the next game, man. I love seeing that dude play.
There's a good chance he's in the same conversation as Acuna, Tatis, Guerrero. I believe he will be a top 10 Juan Soto 1,000%. I'm not even going to say Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani, because those two to me are just a little tick above them. But for now, Robert's right there in that, if you got S tier, and in S tier is Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, then you go to A tier, and that's where I find guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Tatis, Juan Soto, like the top 5 or 7 players in the league. Robert has a chance to be right there. Like, he's got all the tools. Nobody will ever say those things about Eloy. He could hit just the same, but nobody will ever say those things about him because he's kind of a trash bag in the field. But like Robert plays elite Gold Glove center field. So
absolutely.
And I remember a time going into the season where the Twins fans were trying to say that he was right under Brian Buxton without really seeing what Brian Buxton's able to do when healthy. We say, oh, what Brian's able to do when healthy, but he's not. The thing is, he's not able to stay healthy. Granted, Robert got injured, but when Robert's healthy, gosh, I put him way, and that's not the bias. I mean, that's just what I see. The eye test.
Yeah,
that's the eye test that I see is I put Robert above him and put him in the conversation that Vinny was just talking about, and he's absolutely right.
Well, you got Robert Mandel here in the chat saying Luis Robert will be the driving force in the weeks to come, and I think that's truly the case, especially as they make this playoff push. So, Luis is a guy, and he's been red hot. And there's one more guy that's been smoking hot. He's you might say he's the MVP. Anyone else want to talk about smoking? Jose Abreu, Larro looks all fired up. We'll let you talk about Jose.
Man, you know what? I love this dude. Right, because
me too, man. I love him.
All he does is get dude has a bad week, and instantly, oh, is it finally here? Is he finally? He can't hit fastballs. Like what's going on? And all he does is just shut the haters up, man. I mean, if you look at like the last 7 days, last week, right? 25 at bats, 11 hits. 6 runs scored, 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 9 ribbies, 2 walks, 440 average, 500 on base percentage, 800 slug, OPS 1300. I mean, what else do you want from this guy?
It's filthy. It's just filthy.
I mean, he's a leader. He steps up. Like when I see it on Twitter, when I see those tweets, and it frustrates me, and I think you can see it now because. Oh man, like all he does is step up, man, and he is MVP, man. That's what he is.
He's the epitome of an MVP in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
I mean, he lead the league in RBIs for the 3rd straight season.
I mean, you know how hard that is in Major League Baseball. It's just, I mean, I can't even describe how hard that is. Just think about it. I'm trying to think who the last person was to ever do that. I don't even know the answer. Vinny might. We'll
3 straight seasons leading.
Has anybody done it?
I mean, Barry Bonds might have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Miggy was like 10 straight years of 100 RBIs in each season. I know but I don't think he led the league.
I heard it on a broadcast. I can't remember the name though. They said it.
I mean, it's not a lock yet. I'm with a little too much confidence right now. Devers is a great player. He has a chance.
Yeah. And
like there are other guys in the mix, but like Abreu, the fact that he's like over 100 and we're not at September yet, like, you know what I mean?
But I don't think it's, I don't want to be this guy. I get it, right? It's too early. There's still a lot of time. But if you just look at what this lineup is going to be going forward,
Say it.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to say anything other than he might be the guy again, because Timmy, when he's in the lineup, he's going to get on base. If you're going to have Luis Robert up early enough, he's going to be on base. Like Moncada, we already know what his OBP is. He's going to be on base. You telling me, like, come on.
Well, here's the way I say it. I will not bet against Jose Abreu in this scenario. I expect him wholeheartedly to win the RBI for most RBI for the whole league, and I don't think it's going to be close. I'll put it out. I'll be there. I'll be that guy. I'll say it.
I agree with you. He's going to have at least one more. He's going to have at least a 3-run home run every week for the rest of the season. That's 9 RBIs, right? That's 9 RBIs right there, or 12. I'm not a math.
It says 6 time in 7 seasons doing it. 100 ribbies.
I have a question for you guys, and I know, we're in a different segment right now, but
we're good.
La Russa, like I've heard, listening to guys that have played the game, or have played for him, and we see these different types of things that La Russa does that irritates us at times. And do you honestly feel like he is testing the waters, like he's doing different types of things to get geared up for the playoffs? Do you think that is what it is, or you think guys are saying it because they want to make sure that Tony's not getting bagged on?
I think 100%. I know Vinny and I are shaking our heads. Gonzo maybe feels differently.
If we tune into the game tomorrow, I could point out 3 things that I believe would not have happened if it were a playoff game.
I think I put 10 minutes at least into that question earlier in the podcast with saying that Tony is mixing and matching things like the Jose Ruiz and high leverage situation like last week or this past weekend.
He's still figuring out the closers or who's going to go in the 8th. Michael Kopeck, where's Tepera fit in? When do we use Aaron Bummer? Do we take him out because it's a lefty coming up to bat? That proved to be dumb because when you go back and look at the stats, the hitter was actually worse against lefties, so they should have left Bummer in. But if it were a playoff game, does Tony actually probably know that? Chances are he does. So, like, all these things we nitpick throughout the season, it's like, could it just be, I want to have the best possible formula by October 2nd or whenever the hell the wild card game is. I know they're not playing in the wild card game, but that's when the playoffs start. He wants to know by that day what to do in what situation. And it wouldn't surprise me if it costs them at least 1 or 2 more games as the season goes along. And if it proves to be the reason why, I'm cool with it.
He can be just mixing and matching at the opportunities of like, hey, if I'm going to throw this at him, is he going to grab onto it right now? Is Ruiz going to do this for me? Because I'll keep throwing it at him if he's going to keep grabbing these opportunities. And
well, that's what you're seeing with Lopez too. He grabbed that opportunity, and Tony's like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And his continued trust in Crochet. Crochet was struggling right before the All-Star break, and now he's starting to gain that confidence and trust with Tony and developing that role that Kopeck has with him. So I'm sure Kopeck's going to bounce back too. And Kopeck, Crochet, those guys that you're 6'7" with Bummer. I mean, this is a dangerous territory we're talking here with this roster.
You bring up Crochet. There's not going to be any runners on second in extra innings in the playoffs, and that's really the only time Crochet has struggled at any point this season.
Yeah.
Like, he's not been great in the 10th inning with a runner on second tied, but like he's gotten slightly better at it over the last couple weeks, and Tony keeps throwing him into that role. And I wonder if the mindset is, hey, Garrett, when the playoffs roll around, you're going to be our extra inning guy unless we get a lead so we could go back to either Liam or Craig. And, there's not going to be a runner on second. Pretend there's not one. Go strike him out. It's worked a little bit lately. So
I don't think he has to pretend, because he was trying to make that progression later on lately than earlier with the extra innings rule. So, and when it comes, like I said earlier, when it comes to the postseason, you gotta have your best arms out there. And Crochet's a guy that I would just trust in that situation when he's got the nastiest stuff when he's on, and I don't really worry about the offense at that point when we got the arms that we do. Like, it's a filthy team with the bullpen when they're on, at least.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Speaking of pitching, Joe, I know you got a little something to announce here coming up with a certain winner of a certain game we play.
Yeah, Gonzo, why don't you just puff your chest out and it's like Wolf of Wall Street. You're sitting in the diner, you're like, there he is. The Superman thing. There it is right there. I love it. So, of course, we're going to talk about our pick to click section here. And, there it is.
I don't agree that Gonzo. I am doing the rest of this episode under protest.
Pump your chest with me, Larro.
I know. And for those of you who don't know, Gonzo has penned Dylan Cease as Dylan Sheesh, and he takes it with him everywhere he goes in his front pocket. But we'll talk about Sheesh last, and we'll get with the rest of our scrub picks. Last week I took Tim Anderson, who didn't have a bad week. I guess no one really had a horrible week, but Tim went 5 for 17, 294 with 2 ribbies and 4 runs scored. Vinny took Eloy, who had a good week as well, but he went 5 for 24, 208. The average was a little down, but he still had 6 RBIs, 5 runs scored, and 2 homers. So solid week for Eloy.
He had a Grandal stat line. He had a Grandal stat line.
He did. Zim would probably have won in the normal week. He had Moncada, who went 7 for 17, batting .412 with 3 ribbies and 3 runs scored. But our friend Gonzo here went with Dylan Cease. And look at those stats, gentlemen. 2-0, 13 innings pitched, a 1.38 ERA, 8 hits, 2 earned runs. And look at those Ks, 18 Ks. Dylan just absolutely lit it up. So because of that, Gonzo wins the pick to click for the week. Gonzo, how does it feel?
Feels just as amazing as his beard that he's going, that playoff beard that he's got going. It's majestical. And
You know what I think about when I see his beard? I think of like an Amish guy, like, driving a buggy, because it's kind of getting kind of Amish a little bit. But I think that's good when it comes to playoff baseball, because like the wackier the beard, I think the better you pitch. So it's working for Dylan. So I say keep the crazy beard.
It reminds me of Kyle Orton.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of starting to get there a little bit, isn't it?
Although Kyle Orton grew his during the regular season because he knew he was never making the playoffs.
Come on.
Oh, there it is. I was waiting for it. It comes right for the jugular with that one, Vinny. But no, it's all right.
I'm disgusted with that team. But
what if the Bears had Kyle Orton when Jay Cutler got injured that year? That they were on a roll there.
Well, he was traded for Jay Cutler, so it's hard to think about.
Yeah, but
what if? Well, what if any of us win?
What if I continue with my pick to click here? So
that's where I was about to go. Yes, I was going to say, because you won,
Dylan Sheesh, don't be scared to retweet me because I've been tweeting at you lately, Mr. Sheesh. All right,
I'll be scared of you.
And for those of you who don't know, Gonzo gets to pick first because he won. So
rightfully
so. Out of the way.
Rightfully so. I want to read this real quick. But the 25-year-old is currently tied for 4th in the majors with 188 strikeouts, and it is in the top 5 with a K-9, along with Burns, Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, and Robbie Ray. Think about that. Just think about it. Cease's evolution on the mound 2021 has been spectacular, and now he has a 3.82 ERA, 1.22 WHIP. I just said 188 Ks to 56 walks over 143 innings.
Mamma mia.
And he's coming in hot against the Royals this upcoming weekend, who he's had great stats first, rightfully so. But that is
you're gonna double down?
That is Dylan Cease for you, and I've been preaching him for 3 this postseason. I will continue to do so because I believe in the young ace of our future, Dylan Sheesh. And my pick to click this week, since you keep harping on it, because it's going to be Pito. He's going to continue to rake. And I pass it to you boys.
Jose Abreu. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And our buddy Steven Zimmerman, who's on an airplane right now, sent us his pick before the show. Zim is going to go with Luis Robert. Keep the hot hand. I like it this week. I mean, he's going to hopefully – I hope all these guys have bat 500 again this week, and then we'll have a real tough conversation next week about who wins. But that's all right. But let's go down the line here. Why don't we toss it to our I lied. I'll let Vinny go next. Vinny, who you going with for your pick to click?
Yeah, Gonzo, you talking about Dylan Cease? They might have 4 guys who finish in the top 10 for Cy Young. I legit think that's going to happen.
You're teasing it, Vinny. We're coming up with that for guaranteed take.
Yeah. Little teaser for those. They're going to get angry, Vinny, in a couple minutes. But for right now, I'll stay happy. Yohan Moncada is going to be my pick because that guy's awesome. Appreciate him for what he is. He's never going to hit 35 or more home runs. It's never going to happen. Stop. He might have 100 RBIs. Don't ever think the power's coming too much.
The White Sox even know that, Vinny. The White Sox bobblehead for Moncada is him playing third base with the glove, which makes sense.
Moncada is a great baseball player. He's an over 3 WAR for a reason. Like, he's top 30 on F WAR, B WAR, all of them. So, leave Yohan Moncada alone. Watch him rake this week. I like him tomorrow against the Pirates. Look for him to hit a couple home runs over the next couple games. My guy, Yohan Moncada.
Very sexy. I like that pick. You know me, guys. I I try to dabble it up a little bit week to week and go outside of the box, and it hasn't paid off for me for the last month because I'm over 4. So I'm going to go with something that I think is a bit of a safer pick, but it's a guy who we all love, and I'm going to go with Eloy. I think he's going to have a great week here. I think he's going to burn down the base paths and probably say hi, Mom, about 1,000 times more, but I'm just looking forward to seeing him. It's like spirit fingers, everybody.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to do that. Come on,
Larro.
He's like, come on, I don't want to wait. He's not going to. He won't give in to peer pressure.
Like, I am not doing that.
Larro, AO is going to be doing this on the court this year.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
Yo, y'all are crazy.
Hits a 3, does the jimmer, and then does the wave.
What was I going to say? I wanted to touch on Vinny, your pick to click. I think some people fell in love with the Robinson Cano comp, and they thought that that's what they were getting in terms of like power. And I think that's a great example for people to understand. Like, comps are not always 100%. You know what I mean? Like, you have to just admire him for what he is. Like, he may not be. You may not have that power that Cano had, but I mean, dude brings a bunch of other things to the table. So I think people just need to relax and just admire it. Just take him for what he is, and that's a winning player. He's a player that's going to help you win ball games. But my pick to click.
Yes, I want it.
Man, I was going to go with my boy Eloy, but you know what? I'm gonna ride the hot hand, the other hot hand. Yasmani Grandal. Let's show the world of baseball that you are here to keep raking, brother. Let's rake everywhere you go, and I'm gonna go with him as my pick to click.
I like it. I like it. I like the raking, and I like showing domination to the league. And we'll keep track of this next week, Larro. And who knows? Maybe you'll win. But we'll do a quick little recap for everybody here for the picks. I went with Eloy Jimenez, Zim, Luis, Robert, Gonzo, Jose Abreu, Vinny, Yohan Moncada, and Larro's going with Yasmani Grandal. Let's be honest. All these guys are going to hit 500 this week, and we're going to be undefeated heading into the next show. Actually, never mind, heading into our off day, but we'll talk about that later. But now that we got through our picks to click, and we're going to get to the last part of the show, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back after a word from our Barroom Network sponsor. So we'll see you guys here in just a few minutes.
South Burbs Hitmen will be right back. return to South Burbs Hitmen.
That's right. We are back after a word from our barroom sponsors. And while we're talking about the swag shop, of course, go and support all the great shows on our network. You can buy a T-shirt from not only from us, but Bulls 101, the Mike North Advantage, Barfly Tailgate, all the great shows our network offers. But I do have to highlight, talk about the ultimate shout-out last week for us. Our friend Ozzie Guillen Jr., we sent him a hat, and you go to the Being Guillen podcast the other day, and who's wearing that hat? That South Burbs Hitmen hat? That's right. The Ozzie Guillen, World Series winning manager for your Chicago White Sox. Let's take a little look at this clip because it makes me all tingly inside.
I will obviously be a Man U fan now. I have a team in England. And then Ozzie's, do you like your hat? I guess.
Yeah, I love it. Nice. By the way, how you be excited about some guy you even know go to play somewhere? When is your mom's birthday?
I mean, how awesome is that, guys? A huge shout out to the whole Guillen family for especially, Junior and Oni and Ozzie for supporting us. And, we were 24 episodes in now in our inaugural season. We're trying to get great guests for everyone. We're trying to get the better content, have a great show. And then one day Ozzie Guillen wears one of our hats. So a shout out to them. And if you want to buy one, head over to deepdishtees.com/barroom and get one of your own or support any of the other great shows on the network. Vinny Parisi, what do you got?
I love that man.
I love him.
There are few people on this planet that I love more than Ozzie Guillen, and I mean that with my whole heart and soul. He's done more for me as a White Sox guy than like most people I've come in contact with in my life. Like, you ended that, 87 years that the White Sox had gone without winning the World Series, and they were the first team out of the two. The 2016 Cubs were great. Nobody's taken that away from them. They were a very talented team. There were potential Hall of Famers on that team. The Sox did it first. And nobody's taken that away from anyone. and Ozzie Guillen had a huge part of that. He might have been the most influential manager in a single playoff run in the history of the sport, because we talk about it all the time. That White Sox team, they won by playing as a team. There were no Hall of Famers contributing to the team's success or anything like that. Frank Thomas was done. Mark Burley and Paul Konerko are kind of like borderline Hall of Fame guys, but for the most part, no. Ozzie Guillen played a huge part in it, and seeing him wear that hat was just so sweet based on what he means. So go buy one, be like Ozzie.
Go buy one, be like Ozzie is right. And Travis says he's a great guy. He meant to say guy, but I mean, yeah, Ozzie's the best. So again, I can say it a million times more. Huge shout out to our guy Ozzie Guillen and the Guillen family, Junior, Oni. We're going to send some more hats to them, and who knows, maybe they'll all come out at the same time. That's the goal. Get Ozzie, anybody else, keep this train a running. But Gonzo mentioned to me before this happened that the White Sox just sent out a tweet a little while ago. I just want to touch on it quickly. Is that they appear to have put their playoff slogan out for the world to see. This might be breaking to a lot of people watching the show, but let's go ahead and show it to everybody. We just want to win, and it says "in it to win it" in the tweet itself. So we just want to win, in it to win it. I think "in it to win it," comma want to win is probably going to be that slogan. This looks a little bit too clean and ready to rock here. So they have no egos out there, and they just want to win it. So I'm curious, quick roundabout, guys. One, if this is the new playoff slogan, what do you think? Because it kind of gets me fired up a little bit. Vinny, what do you think?
Well, I could run through a wall right now, to be honest with you. And I've always said Liam Hendriks is walking pre-workout, and I get like that when the White Sox win. So, and I think based on the popular conversation right now, I would say the greatest debate on White Sox Twitter is Yohan Moncada's importance. But right there behind it is the closer stuff. And putting that quote from Liam Hendriks out there that basically says, screw that. We're all here to win. We don't care what, when, how. If you use Craig when he's best, use Craig when he's best. I'll pitch when I need to pitch. I think it's the perfect quote with the perfect player on the perfect team in a perfect city with a perfect podcast that covers it.
I like it, Vinny. Man, you're nailing all the transitions today, and then you're just throwing us around compliments. It's like Christmas in, what is it? It's basically August still. It's almost September, but I appreciate it, Vinny. We'll just leave it at that. Wow, I got a frog in my throat right as I'm going to talk. That's always fun how that works, but I'm trying to figure out where we are in the show. This is actually Gonzo's favorite part of the show because, he likes to talk about what's going to happen coming up for our White Sox. And I can't remember what the segment's called, Gonzo. Just refresh my memory.
White Sox Weekly.
Yeah, Gonzo, so why don't you take it away? We're going to talk about what you mentioned, White Sox Weekly, and what's coming up for the White Sox. So let me pull this up for us to take a look at, and let's scroll on through. So why don't you take it away with tomorrow's game?
Yeah, so the Pale Hosts have today off, one of 2 days this week, and they have a 2-game series versus Pittsburgh. And starting tomorrow night is going to be Giolito versus Bryce Wilson. No clue about Bryce Wilson. Haven't seen too much of him. But you're looking at Giolito continuing his streak of quality starts. I like the Sox odds in that game. And going to game 2 here on Wednesday, we have Carlos Rodon and Mitch Keller. To me, this is your game of the series, of the short series here versus Pittsburgh. And, Rodon coming back. We'll see what he's got in his arm. And we're going to get I know me and Vinny are going to get to him shortly here. Next take, because he's got to be up there in your Cy Young voting. But yeah, 2 games versus Pittsburgh. You got to see the boys take 2 here, nothing less, because they had kind of a rough stretch in Pittsburgh the last time. So let's get back to beating up on Pittsburgh. And then the weekend series, 3 games, Friday through Sunday. It's going to be Keuchel versus Hernandez. Let's see if Keuchel can actually turn around versus the Royals. Game 2 is going to be Lynch and Lynn. To me, this is the game of the series for me. I want to see Lynn get back into the groove here, bounce back from his start versus the Cubs. And then game 3 is going to be good too. It's going to be Dylan Cease and Singer, which I think this is going to be like the 3rd, possibly 4th time we've seen Singer this year already. So good sinker ball pitcher. He's their promising arm for KC that, a lot of promise in him. Hopefully the Sox continue to bang up on these Royals and beat them. And I'm going to say here, Sox need to go 5-0 this week, nothing less, because I believe in this team to get those wins that they need to get and start stacking up those wins going down the stretch here, especially if we even want to get the first seed. But I think they can get the 2nd seed for sure.
What's the magic number at right now, guys?
23.
23?
I was going to say it's got to be in the low 20s because it was 30 like a week and a half ago. And they've pretty much won every game except one since.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this team is, give or take, I think this team could clinch probably, I don't know, 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks maybe, depending on how things play out. Maybe
they'll clinch on a Monday.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the math.
That would be sick.
I love it.
That would be sick. That just gave me chills. Like I thought of that because I look back. They're off today. They're bad on Mondays while we record. They're literally like 2-6 on Mondays. And like, if they clinched on a Monday, we could like get some champagne or some beers. Let's go, boys.
Ooh. We could do like we did in episode 1 or 2. I think I chugged a beer. I don't remember what episode it was.
Before we get really going off here, I want to quickly mention the hitters for the series for our opponents. Brian Reynolds for Pittsburgh, really great hitter, 299 batting average, 21 home runs, 77 ribbies. He's the guy to watch out for Pittsburgh. And then for Kansas City, Their veteran catcher, Perez Salvador, all-star. He's really picked it up this year. I mean, he's healthy. He's healthy, which pays big dividends for his recent stints of injuries the past several years. But 277 batting average, 38 home runs, 94 ribbies. He's hot, and got to watch out for it. He beat up on you last time, so I wouldn't say I'd pick the series to start walking people because Tony hasn't done that to this point yet. But I'd probably pitch to Perez. But going forward, maybe in that Boston series, let's start thinking about maybe that opportunity. But other than that, Nicky Lopez is a promising middle infielder for them. I picked him up in fantasy. No one really cares about me though, but he's on fire. So watch out for him too.
I love it. 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 I could say it 800 times. I love it.
Love it?
Do you love it?
Oh
Don't ask me why I pulled that out of my pocket.
I am never coming back. I hate all of you.
Hey, man.
I was watching Nacho Libre the other day, and I had to do I love it. It's the best.
Goofy.
I love this. Hey, all I have to say, by the way, great breakdown, my brother Gonzo. Mark of great teams. Take care of business against the teams you should beat. I would love to say 5-0. I really would love to say that because I just think that this team is getting healthy. This lineup is starting to be a lot. They are healthier than they've been, and it's time. It's time to really put teams away that you should put away. You know what, Gonzo, I'm right there with you. 5-0, baby. That's got to be the standard. I'm sorry. That's just how it's got to be.
One thing before we keep going here, I'm going to be real quick about this. I'm going to throw it out there right now. I'm predicting on Tuesday, the 21st, versus the Tigers, Sox are going to clinch.
All right. You got to send that in a tweet, Gonzo,
so we can have for beers.
Yeah, put it in a tweet, put it out there. And then what happens is if that happens, we can pull it and put a screenshot on the show. And then you can pull it and put it on the Twitterverse. And then all of a sudden, it's Gonzo Superstar. You know what I mean?
I've had several of them this year, from Lance Lynn to Dylan Cease. I've told Gabe to start pulling these clips. So I told Vinny, or I told Gabe to pull Vinny's Andrew Vaughn clip too. So I know he's working on that hard right now.
I know it is. Shout out to Gabriel Silva, who's been helping us out and a big integral part of this network. We appreciate you, Gabriel. But we were talking about things we've been doing all year long. Let's just add another one to the list. We've been having great conversations with a hot topic every single week in a segment we like to call the Guaranteed Take. Every time I hear that music, I start doing the robot kind of with my head, and then the yay at the end. I'm like, Anyway,
it gets me going.
It kind of gets me going, but I gotta pull up this image, guys, because this also gets me going. Cy Young rankings from major MLB.com reporters. The AL right now. They have Garrett Cole in the lead for some reason over Lance. I know this is before he got shelled against the Cubs, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Cole's gotten shelled a couple times. You got Robbie Ray, Bassett, and Ohtani. First off, Vinny, I know you love Ohtani more than any other guy. How can Ohtani be in the Cy Young conversation when his ERA is not even close to the other guys?
See, that's not where I thought you were going to go with it. Ohtani doesn't deserve to be on that for the same reason Carlos Rodon's not on it, and that's innings. I don't think neither of them are going to reach the 162 inning thing. They say you should have, in order to be in the race, you should have as many innings pitched as your team has games played. So by the end of the season, by default, 162 innings. I don't believe Bassett will reach that anymore. He's probably not going to pitch again. For those who don't know, Bassett is the Oakland Athletics player that took the baseball to his face and it broke his orbital bone or whatever. I don't know exactly what it was, but he's going to be out for a hot minute. Ohtani's probably not going to reach the innings limit, and neither is Rodon. So to me, that comes down to Garrett Cole, Lance Lynn, and Robbie Ray. And Lynn put up a stinker last week, but it didn't raise his ERA to like anything out of – he didn't pitch himself out of Cy Young contention. And he's probably – I don't really see that happening again in the regular season. And I don't really see Garrett Cole struggling too much either the rest of the season. He's finally settled down after a mediocre like May, June when the whole spider tack thing was going on. It seemed like he didn't appreciate being ridiculed about it as much. And I don't know if it affected his performance on the field because of it for whatever reason, even mentally.
Sure.
But I don't know, man. I'm not surprised. They make a graphic. They put the Yankee in front. Like, I mean, in what world are we surprised? At least, here's the thing. You got the Yankee leading the way, right? And then you got the White Sox, who are like the second city's second team. Robbie Ray, who plays for the Blue Jays, and they care more about Austin Matthews and the Maple Leafs than anything in Toronto. The Oakland A's, who have a movie made about them about not spending money. And then Ohtani, who plays, and then Ohtani, who plays for the Angels, who everyone rips on for having the two best players with no marketability. So, like, people can get on the MLB or ESPN, whoever puts up these graphics. They got 4 guys on that list who play for like less popular teams. So Lance Lynn is right there in the mix. He's actually Vegas's betting odds favorite. I don't really care what that list says. I'm more intrigued by the National League race because the American League race is down to 3 for me.
Yeah, it's a wild conversation because Lynn is just, and I don't think this is even up for debate at this point. You know, Lynn has been the best pitcher in the American League. You could argue he's been the best pitcher in all of baseball up until this point, up until the start against the Cubs. And you know what? People get shelled. It happens. But Lance is going to come back this week, and he's just going to look nasty. I'm telling you right now, I think we all know it. And that's what you see with Lance all year long. He brings the fire. He looks like he's ready to strangle someone when he's done on the mound. And then, you know, he goes in the dugout and he probably chugs 2 cases of Busch Light. I mean, that's Lance Lynn. You know, and if you don't drink Busch Light, Lance, that's fine. You can drink whatever beer you want. I don't care. But
don't lie to me, Lance. You drink Bud Light, Lance, or Busch Light. You drink it. We all drink it. Shut your mouth.
As long as it's not like the commercials when he goes into the dugout and he just goes, he looks at the guys, he goes, Busch.
Oh man.
I hate those commercials, but they got us talking about them, so mission accomplished for them. But long story short, Lance for me has been it by a mile. You won't make any money if you bet on him to win it because I think you have to bet like $3 to win $1 or something like that. Crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy right now. So I think the betting makers know that as well. MLB.com reporters are just blowing smoke. So that's where I land on it. Larro, where do you land on the whole Lance Lynn getting disrespected? I know he's still listed as number 2 on this list.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's like, you know, listed last. But what do you think about this?
To be honest, man, I'm kind of at where Vinny's at. Like, it's really cool to see 4 players on there, less popular teams. But there's a lot of time left, and I think Lynn just has to get it back on the track and keep that locomotive going, and you know, keep being who he is. You know, don't let that Cubs game get in his way. Which he isn't the player that I think would allow something like that to linger. So I still feel pretty confident that he's gonna fight for it. But can I say I feel so bad for Carlos Rodon because that dude was pitching his tail off, man. And
he was.
It would have been really cool to see those because you know how professionals are, man. They're competitive at everything. So it would have nice to see Carlos like trying to one up Lynn's last match. And game and outing. And you know, I just feel bad for Carlos because he went through Tommy John and all these injuries, comes back and is just unreal. And man, it would have been really cool to see him to still be in this run after what happened. But in a way, I don't want to sound this way, but it might be better because if dude wins Cy Young, who knows what kind of contract he wants. So, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that this happened.
That's right.
Know? So yeah.
And he's fresh for the playoffs, Larro.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's the most important thing right now.
He's going to get paid too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and hopefully the White Sox are the ones that do it.
Yep. No
There's 5 weeks left in the season. A lot of innings to be eaten up here. So I do think that Rodon will come back into the picture, take over Bassett's place, because Bassett won't be ready till the postseason with his recovery. Shout out, in our thoughts and prayers on his recovery, because that was a brutal injury.
Yeah.
But to go back to this discussion,
lucky to a certain extent too. Like it could have been.
Oh yeah. And glad that he had our staff too in Chicago. A lot of great hospital, great staff
Rush
all
Medical
around.
Center, yeah.
All together, extremely grateful for
Didn't he stay here for like 2 weeks after?
Yeah,
something like that.
He stayed here and didn't fly back to Oakland after they let Rush take care of him like to the full degree.
And he thanked Chicago and everything. So that was a great tweet that he sent out. But to go back to this race, it's gonna be Garrett Cole, Lance Lynn.
Probably.
I've said it all season with Lance Lynn. My praise for him being our ace this season. I would argue that even before the sticky stuff, him and Cole were right there head and head. Yeah. And one of my fraternity brothers, he's a Yankees fan, so he saw my Snap story with the show, and right away he's like, Garrett Cole, Cy Young, no cap, and I'm like, I just said, well, no I'll fight you on it, and I didn't get a response back, so it took a couple hours, but we've been snapping about it, but basically I told him it comes down to this, and this is just me looking at Garrett Cole on the outside in here. That's sticky substance situation. Like that week when that came out, that first start that he had, he had a start versus Casey on the 22nd, which is right when things were in question, and he had 7 innings, 2 runs given to Casey. But then that next start in Boston, he gave up 6 runs in the 5th inning, so that was the first start that they were really looking at everybody. And then he followed that up with only versus the Yankees a week later on 4th of July with 3 innings, 4 runs, and he was quickly taken out of that game. But I remember for those 2 starts, like you can just tell something was going on. Like his command was off, and like he was just a totally different pitcher. Like I'm saying this, like granted, when he got to Houston after Pittsburgh, like he looked he went from an all-star to a perennial arm. But like in this situation, like he looked a lot worse than even that rookie year with the Pirates. Like he was not himself. Granted, that's a 4th of July, so he still had, I think, he had one more start versus Houston before the All-Star break, and he bounced back at 9 innings, no shutout Houston going into the break. So he must have figured something out, but that break came in at a good time for him to figure out what he had going on. And then right after that, it looks like he gave the next 2 starts. He gave up 1 run versus Boston, then 3 runs versus Boston. The trade deadline comes up, and then he got roughed up versus Tampa Bay for 8 runs in 5 innings. But then after the deadline, when the Yankees paid all that money to bring all this power in with Gallo, Rizzo, and them all, he had 3 starts since. He's only given up 1 run. And it's a lot. Wow. I feel like it's a lot easier to be an ace of that staff once that offense is producing and taking the pressure off of you. Mm-hmm. So when it comes down to this situation for me, I feel like Lance Lynn, granted, he's had 2 starts where he's given up more than 3 runs since the break, really. But he showed it more consistency throughout this season than Garrett Cole. And even when the ticky-tacky substances with Spirotrack and all was a problem, Lance Lynn was the same guy. Nothing fazed him. I didn't have any questions against him on the mound. And just quite frankly, I mean, not even to mention that when the sticky stuff happened, Yankees were, 4th 4th place, and
they're the hottest
you weren't
team
even
since the break.
Yeah, but I'm saying a month prior to that, they were the laughing stock.
They were dead in the water. Yeah,
they were dead in the water. Yet Lance Lynn, when we had our half of AAA up here, we're 15 games above 500, and he's keeping us afloat as the leader of our pitching rotation that was on fire.
Oh, he's definitely been just a workhorse for us this year, and I think Lance has just been.
Yeah,
that's another reason to look at him. Like,
without a doubt.
Crazy to not see Jacob deGrom on the National League side, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, man. We got robbed.
The kid's great for baseball too.
We're not National League guys, but we got robbed.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a fair point. But guys, we got to talk through the guaranteed take. We made it through so much conversation, and our boy Larro hung out with us the whole time tonight, man. So a major shout out, and Larro, thank you for joining us. Of course, if you guys don't know, Larro is one of the co-hosts on Bulls 101 here on the Barroom Network. Not only does he know baseball, he really knows basketball, and he breaks down the Bulls for you all season long. I mean, it's been a crazy offseason. This guy will tell you all about it. But Larro, before we do the shout-out portion and wrap the show, why don't you tell everyone, first off, where they can follow you, and second, what you guys have coming up this season on Bulls 101.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at _Larro Hoops. During the season, I will be doing, video breakdowns of some clips of each game. I'll have some clips to break down maybe what play they're running, what they're looking for on a particular play, even on defense. So that's what I love to do. And my co-host, Chris Amundsen, that's my brother from another mother. You can follow him on Twitter, KLA Hoops. You can find him there. So for us, what we love to do is, we love talking ball, and there are a lot of podcasts that, throw the hot takes and things like that. And that's all the podcast is. But like what we wanted to do is bring a little bit different flavor. We talk about the hot news and things that may have happened, but we also like to talk about like the what they're doing on the floor, break down what they're running on offense, break down what they're doing on defense, talk about what a player is going through, what he may have to do to get out of the slump he's in, and talk about Billy Donovan, what he may be looking for out of certain players, and how his scheme is working and things like that. So we just love to talk about like the deep, the deep stuff about the game, and if, hopefully, that's what you love about your team. You'll come, listen to us every Saturday night at 11 Central, Bulls 101 podcast. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow the show's Twitter at Bulls 101 podcast on Twitter. So, give us a follow, man. And we love talking Bulls, and just, send us a tweet and we'll reply. We'll answer your questions or just talk to you, man. That's what we love to do.
Larro, I loved every second of that. The things you guys talk about on Bulls 101 in regards to basketball get me all hot and bothered, because I like doing that for literally every sport. Like, talk dirty to me about the most intricate stats you possibly could, and like, zone defenses, and you could bring it over to football and like looking at things that other people might not always look at. And even in hockey, me and Joey do it all the time. We like break down plays. Like I just love that stuff. Talk dirty to me on that 101 podcast. I want to hear it every Saturday at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. 11 Central. Yep, yeah, you guys are on for the late boys like me.
Yeah. Obviously, you'll catch our podcast, but if you love to watch us live, that's where we are. 11 p.m. Central. We'll be live, baby.
He'll be live, and I forgot to mention that Jerry Reinsdorf owns both teams. So Larro's covering this week. He'll cover both Jerry Reinsdorf teams on the podcast version. So. So Larro can toss that in his pocket as well. But it's been a ton of fun tonight. Larro, we like to wrap up with shout-outs before we get out of here. So any shout-outs, Larro, before we Vinny, go ahead.
You have an announcement about next week's show.
You're right. I do. I was just thinking about it, and then I was like, maybe I'll shovel it into my shout out. But you're right. I will do this right now. We do have an announcement. Next week, a week from today, is Labor Day, and we're going to take the week off. So I'll be doing some traveling, and the White Sox will be prepping to clinch the division, hopefully within a week or so. So we will be off next weekend. That's Labor Day, which is September 6th. Is that right?
I think so.
I'm pulling up a calendar just so I can tell the world. And yes, it is indeed September 6th. There'll be no show next week, but we'll triumphantly return on September 13th, and we'll figure out what that's going to be. It'll be a dynamite show regardless of who's on with us. But now I can toss it back to our boy Larro. Larro, any shout outs before we get rolling out of here?
I kind of shouted out the show already, but guys, like this has been a great experience for me. I love the White Sox, and I love watching them play. And I love your podcast. I love everything you guys do. It makes me a smarter baseball fan because I love baseball. But in terms of, knowing when's the best time for a safety squeeze, what am I supposed to look for in terms of certain at bats? You got to run on third, run on first, 2 outs. Like what should I be looking for? And you guys do a great job of really giving me, that insight. And I really appreciate you guys. Man, if you haven't checked out our pod, I guess I'll throw this out there. If you haven't checked out our last pod, we had Kevin Farragon on NBA Twitter. He's known as NBA Couchside. Nice. He just rebooted his Dennis Podman podcast, where it's another. Yeah, I know, right? It's such a cool name. But it's another Bulls podcast, and he does great work, man. He's a great basketball mind. He's a savant. Dude had an internship with the Dallas Mavericks front office, so he knows what he's talking about. He knows ball. So if you guys want to give that a listen, go ahead.
Appreciate that, Larro. Thank you very much. And we're going to wrap around the shout-out train. We're going to go pass it to Chris Gonzalez. Gonzo, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out a couple people here. For one, I'm going to shout out Vincent on Facebook. First one to reach out to me yesterday, congratulating me to pick the click. But but then I'm going to shout out also my fraternity brother, Jeremy. He was watching in the chat here, and I know he's probably gloating about Garrett Cole right now, but I hope he's not too sad about losing a Cy Young here shortly and probably losing to Tampa Bay or Red Sox in the postseason coming up for the Yankees.
Savage.
Then I'm going to shout out my girlfriend, Soraya, number one on my support system and always has my back and has probably listened to us on her drive home from work. But other than that, that is my shout outs for this week, and also for Larro for joining us. Great show with you. Appreciate you and Chris's podcast, Bulls 101.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Well said, Gonzo. Thank you. Oh, yes. Yes, here we go. This is how we're going to end the show. Yeah. I'll pull that for next week's show. Or not next week.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Anybody that's going to listen to this podcast or is watching right now, if you love cheesecake, you must talk to Vinny's brother. The cheesecake is beautiful. I mean, it's amazing. If you love cheesecake, holla at Joey Parisi.
Joey does desserts. You can follow him on Instagram, Facebook. What else am I missing, Vinny?
I'll kick off my shout out.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Joey will be I'll name a couple. Joey, first one. Joey does dessert. If you live in the Chicagoland area, you want to get down with some cheesecake, he's your boy. You can contact me at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. I'll put you in the right direction. That'll be the easiest way to go about that. You could all follow him at Joey Parisi, because me and him host Bar Down every Wednesday at 2 p.m. and followed by that on Thursdays is Crosstown Crosstalk, where we will go over this delightful White Sox Cubs series. And I'm sure everyone will be interested in me and Joey going back and forth about that. So shout out to him. He was also part of another big group of shout outs I have. We played in a wiffle ball tournament this weekend. Came in second place.
Ooh.
We lost in the championship game under the lights. It was tough. It was our sixth game of the night. I was gassed. But shout out Frank and Kayla and Joey. You guys were the greatest group of 4 teammates I could possibly ask for. So that was a lot of fun. And Bar Down is going to be coming at you live from our normal studio, but on Thursday we will be on the road recording from Atlanta, Georgia, where we will be catching some college football all weekend long. So make sure you tune in. That's my shout outs for the week. And of course, you guys, especially Larro. You're my favorite.
Oh man, don't make me blush, man. You don't make a black man blush, man.
You're all my favorite. I love you all, but Larro, thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast. I want to have you on. We're going to talk some baseball and some hockey later on in our other 2 shows.
Fantasy hockey. You know what? I want to get in a fantasy hocky league with you guys. If you give me a chance, I would love to get in a fantasy hockey league with you.
Speak no more, my friend. We will be in contact about that. As long as you don't talk poop about the Devils, we're all good.
Hey, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
All right, cool. My favorite team is the Rangers.
I also want to throw in my a shout out here. All of our prayers and condolences for Louisiana for Hurricane Ida.
Yes.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I flew into Florida last night, and we actually had to do a totally different flight path. Kind of went up and looped around. So yeah, prayers to everyone down there. I know they're going to be without power for at least probably 2 weeks. So hopefully everyone was able to evacuate because that was definitely sad stuff. Hopefully everyone's okay there. But prayers up, no doubt about that. But get into my shout out section. Before I get into the sappy stuff, I want to give a shout out to our co-host Steven Zimmerman, who came into town on Saturday. Him and I took up the Cubs Sox game. I took him to 35th Street Red Hots. Then we walked down the street to Grandstand. We got to visit, Josh and Stephanie, who are our guests on the show. We got to say hi to them. Zim, I think, spent like $300 on stuff in the store. But he's got some good stuff though. It was great. It was just great getting to hang out with Zim. Finally meet him in person, give him a real hug. The brotherhood thing is for real here on the Barroom Network, and it was just amazing getting to spend some time with Zim, and hopefully get to do it again soon. So that was great. Of course, got to shout out our great guest Larro for giving us so much time. And it's just great having you a part of the Barroom Network, man. I love talking fantasy with you as well because we are, of course, all of us are in the Barroom Fantasy League. That's going to get hot and heavy here real quick, so we're excited about that.
I'll be watching the waiver wire for who you drop. I'll just letting you know that now.
I know. He's been messaging me. He's going to drop, man.
He finally got a quarterback. He traded for one.
Hey, I got 2, brother. Hey, Joe Burrow is coming. He looks fine.
Joe Burrow is coming. I would agree with that.
And if you're at the White Sox game tomorrow, look for your boy. If you come at me at the White Sox game and say, Vinny from South Burbs Hitmen, I will buy you a beer.
Ooh.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, look out. The tab's on Vinny tomorrow, guys.
That applies to the first person who does it.
I was going to say, you got to put the disclaimer out there. Otherwise, it could get out of hand real quick.
Yeah.
I would bring it back full circle back into my shout out, but for real, Laurel, thank you. And I always like to shout out my beautiful wife, Catherine, and my a little over a year old Great Dane Maverick. We love you. And of course, I'm also going to do a shout out announcing to the world, a huge shout out to my new baby girl, coming in January. We've just found out the gender. My wife Catherine and I will be welcoming a baby girl. So I love you to the moon, little girl. And when you watch this someday, hopefully you could smile and laugh at your dad and see how much he loves the White Sox. But that's what I got for shout outs. I'm living on cloud 9. I got to escape to go to Florida for a week. I'm doing the show on the road. And so far as I can tell, there weren't too many hiccups, so it seems like it all worked. Went off seamlessly. Again, Larro, thank you so much for giving us so much time. Make sure you follow him at @_Larro Hoops. And then you can follow Bulls 101 Podcast, the whole shebang, the Barroom Network. Go to deepdishtees.com/barroom. You can support all the great shows on the network. Bar Down, Bulls 101, South Burbs Hitmen, Fantasy Football Goon, Mike North Advantage. The list goes on and on. I cannot remember if we have any show. Is Bar Down tomorrow, Vinny?
Wednesday. Tomorrow's Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls.
That's right. You have Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls tomorrow night. Wednesday afternoon, you're doing Bar Down, and then Thursday
and
it's Crosstown.
Very special guest on Thursday on Crosstown Crosstalk.
Oh,
we'll announce it tomorrow.
That's what we call a tease, ladies and gentlemen.
I love
it. It's great stuff here. And again, thanks everyone that tuned in with us all night. It's been a blast. 2 hours of nonstop fun and laughs, talking White Sox, getting you ready for the postseason, which we know is coming. I imagine the Sox will probably put tickets on sale mid to next week is the feeling I'm getting. We'll see. I will let you know first because I am a partial season ticket holder, so we'll figure that out. But real quick comment from Travis, enjoying the day off. I'm going to enjoy Monday off work. Safe travels, Joe. Yes, thank you, Travis. And, we appreciate everyone that hung out in the chat room. I can't even name everyone by name tonight because it's been so darn busy in that chat. That's what we love to see. But I'm dragging out this closing long enough. For the South Burbs Hitmen, I am Joe Mandel. Our guest for tonight is Larry Golden. We have Vinny Parisi, Chris Gonzalez, and on an airplane somewhere in the middle of the United States is Steven Zimmerman. We will see you guys not next week because we're off for Labor Day, but after the holiday, the following Monday. And, let's get some White Sox wins. Let's clinch this division. We are going to do it, and we're going to do it in style. I don't have a Sox shirt on, but I wish I did. Everyone else does except for me. But let's go do this. Let's win some games. The Sox are fun. They have fun. They know how to win. They're going to do it. And we're all waving like Eloy. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks, Cubs.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. We're the South Burbs Hitmen, and the Sox are going to win some games this week. See you next time.